What up, y'all? I was thinking about what Bonnet Mom was talking about with schools being prisons, and I don't know. I guess I kind of go back and forth on this a little bit. What should children be doing? When they're, say, like 11 years old. Should a child be homeschooled and not like out playing with other kids? Or should they be in school but having a teacher teach them, And again, every family's going to be different, Certain families, they just don't have the resources for the dad to work and the mom to stay home and teach the kids. Or the mom to work and the dad to stay home and teach the kids. Whatever your preference. I think everybody knows my preference in that regard. But we're just living in a broken system, in an imperfect world, and the system we're in right now, most children go to daycare and they go to schools. I hate daycare. I really do. I'm sorry. Daycare, in my opinion, is much closer to prison than schools are, because it's such a crucial time in a child's life, an infant's life, really, a toddler, infant's life, to be bonding, especially with their mother, and have to be ripped out of their mother's arms every fucking day, like at least Monday through Friday, and being sent to a stranger. And let's just hope that those strangers aren't abusive, and aren't mean. But the bottom line is, even if those strangers are wonderful people, you're not their kid. So they're going to treat you differently than they're going to treat their kid. Not to mention the fact that they have 30 other kids that they got to deal with. They're not going to give you the attention that you need as a 1, 2, 3, or 4-year-old. You're just not going to get it. I'm sorry. So we really are stunting the emotional, social growth of these children pretty dramatically by putting them into daycare. Assuming that everything is on the up and up with the daycare, that it's a legit, safe environment. But going to school, starting when you're 5, I went to half days when I was in kindergarten, and my mom just thought that was the best thing for me. So I'd take the bus, and then I was in the first half of the day, kindergarten. I think that was pretty typical back then, that a lot of kids went half days. I started going in the late 70s. And then I remember it was actually kind of a nice little break for me. It was a nice little break for my mom too. I would leave the normal time that my brothers left. I'm pretty sure I rode the bus with my brothers to school, but then I just took my own bus home, like just the kindergartners home, because we went home at like noon or something. And then you drop me off, and then I'd go home. Like, they dropped me off at my bus stop. I'd walk home, which was like 2 blocks to get home. And there would be my mom doing whatever, cook, clean, and do whatever. And I'm pretty sure my mom worked evenings as a nurse. But, that didn't last very long. I think that's what she did while I was in kindergarten, but then when I went to first and second grade, I think she worked during the day because I could be at school all day. But anyway, I remember my teachers, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade were pretty hard. And the reason why they were hard was because my teachers, they knew there was something wrong with me. They didn't know what was wrong with me, but they knew something was wrong with me. And back when you're in those grades, what is that? 9, 10, 11, right? 12-ish. 9 through 12. Back when you're that age, things are pretty simple as far as you're concerned, you know. If you get good grades, that means you're smart. If you don't get good grades, you're stupid. I mean, there's like 2 categories as far as you were concerned as a kid. And I didn't get good grades, you know. I got C's, D's, and F's. I would get A's and B's in like art and music or gym. I got an A in gym, you know. Why? Because I liked those. I like to sit there and paint or sculpt clay. I like to play basketball and volleyball and football and soccer and whatever else we were doing. And gym. Music was interesting to me. I took to that, but math, history, science I did okay. Math and history, oh my goodness. Language arts, you know, writing. I was a good speller, but there were certain subjects I was just like, I have zero interest, and then my mind was just go somewhere else. Could not focus, no ability to focus. I take a test, I get a D on it. I get a D in history. I get a D in social studies. I get a D in language arts, writing. You know, Schaaf doesn't use periods. Schaaf doesn't use commas. Schaaf forgets to put a capital letter at the beginning of a sentence or for like a proper noun or whatever. Schaaf doesn't know what the difference between a verb and an adverb. Schaaf doesn't know, you know, Schaaf ends his sentences with a preposition, you know, all like I wasn't interested in the rules, so I didn't care. And I would never do my fucking homework. And when I say never, I mean never. I was always staying after school because I didn't do my homework. And so my teacher would make us write. After school, she would make us write 100 times, I will do my homework. I will do my homework. I will do my homework. So I'd stay after school and I'd write, and you know, it'd take me however long, a half an hour, 20 minutes to write that or whatever. And then I would give it to my teacher. And she'd go, okay, you can go home. And then I go home and I wouldn't do my homework. And then I come back the next day. She'd look at me and she'd be like, you didn't do your homework again? And you're like, no, I didn't. Okay, stay after class today. Write 100 times, I will do my homework. And this went on for days and weeks and months. To me, it was worth it. I don't know why, but it was. It was worth it to have to stay after school and write, I will do my homework 100 times. That was better. That punishment was better than actually doing my homework and having to read it. Because when I got home, it was just like, I was like, I'm not at school right now. I don't want to think about school. I just want to watch TV, eat Twinkies, and screw around, play in the backyard or whatever. Like, to me, I wanted home to be a separate place from school. Looking back, I think that's what I wanted. I didn't want to have to be reminded of school and do homework. I'm like, what the hell? Like, are you going to make me sit here for 7 or 8 hours and listen to boring shit, and then when I get home, I got to do the boring shit? Like, what the hell is this nonsense? Like, I just wasn't on board with it. And of course, my parents didn't take me to task and make me do my homework. And the teacher would send notes home from school. Schaaf doesn't do his homework, and Schaaf's getting a D in this class. You know, we would get like our midterm reports. What is it, progress reports or whatever they call it? You know, he's getting an A in gym. He's getting an A in art. He's getting an A in music, maybe a B in music. He's getting C's, D's, and F's and everything else. And my mom would look at that, and she would be like, you're not doing very well in these other classes. I'd be like, yeah, I know. She'd be like, okay. And that was it. There was no consequences, really. Every once in a while, they'd be like, why don't you be like your brother? My brother got straight A's. I don't know why he did. He focused. But maybe not straight A's. He'd get the occasional B. But then my other brother, he'd get worse grades than me because he had like zero ability to focus. He'd get an A in gym and fail everything else. I remember This one time, I want to say it was either 4th or 6th grade, because my meanest teachers that I ever had were in 4th and 6th grade. Meanest teacher ever was 4th grade. Oh my God. She was this black woman, and I think she hated me because I was white, honestly, looking back. I think she hated me. She did so many things to embarrass me, and like, I wasn't being bad. She just straight up didn't like me. Her name was Mrs. Jones. She was my 4th grade teacher. I remember specifically, I came back from a bathroom break or gym or whatever, and I was dragging my feet. I just wasn't picking my feet up when I was walking. I wasn't thinking about it. Kids don't think about how they do what they do or why they do what they just do what they do, right? I mean, if a kid doesn't have any manners, he'll just sit there and pick his nose and eat it in class. Kids don't have very much self-awareness at all, right? They just do what they do. So I'm walking around shuffling my feet, and I'm not thinking about the fact that I'm shuffling my feet, but Mrs. Jones looks at me, she's like, "Is that how you walk? Is that how you walk?" I was like, "What? Why are you walking like that?" I was like what? Like, what are you talking about? I'm walking normal. She's like, so she tells me, "I want you to walk around this classroom 5 times and shuffle your feet, like drag your feet." So she made me, in front of all the other kids, walk around the classroom 5 times, shuffling my feet. And the kids are looking at me like giggling, pointing, like, what a cunt. Like, I want to find out where she lives, and I want to go there. I want to punch her in the fucking face for doing that. Like, I was 9 years old, and I didn't think I was doing anything wrong. And she did that to me. Another time, we were in like our reading groups or whatever, and I guess I sneezed and I didn't cover my mouth fast enough, or I didn't cover my mouth at all. She starts screaming at me, "You cover your mouth when you cover your nose when you sneeze." I was like, okay. Another time we were in reading group, and I was just sitting there doing whatever. Like, I was afraid of this woman because she just blew up at me all the time. And she looks at my hands, and I guess I just hadn't washed my hands in a few days or whatever. She's like, "Your hands are filthy. Go to the bathroom and wash your hands right now." Like, fucking, I'm like, all right. So I get up and I leave and I wash my, like, I don't understand why she did that. Like, why don't you pull a kid aside and have a private conversation with him and realize that it's probably not his fault that he didn't wash his hands because his parents didn't make him wash his hands, or he doesn't know to cover his nose when he sneezes because he wasn't raised with manners, or his parents didn't like teach him how to walk, or like, she just was all about the tough love. Or was that really love, or was it hatred? I don't know. I was one of the only blonde-haired, blue-eyed kids in the class, so she probably thought I was like spawn of a Nazi soldier or something. Who knows what she thought, But she had me in her crosshairs the whole time I was in her class. And this other time, I don't know if it was her or if it was my 6th grade teacher. Let's just say it was my 6th grade teacher. My 6th grade teacher was a white woman, but she was very, very stern, very strict, and used to kind of pick on me for the way I talked, and said that my spelling was horrible and I couldn't focus and all that stuff, which is true. All that's true. I don't know what to do about it, but... No, I'm sorry. Not my spelling. My penmanship was horrible. My spelling was good. She said my penmanship. She's like, "I can't even read what you're writing. So messy." It was like, and so I would slow down and I would try, and it would still be bad. And because I didn't have the fine motor skills, and I still really don't have really good handwriting. I just didn't have the fine motor skills, So anyway, Mrs. Keeney, 6th grade teacher, one day she just decides that she's just gonna go off on me. Because, now remember those desks? I don't know if you guys had the same desks that we did, but when you're in grade school, you don't have lockers, you don't have a book bag, you don't have anything. Your desk is everything. So there's like a big open cubby hole section under your desk where you put all your shit. You put your notebooks, your folders, your trapper keeper. We gotta have a trapper keeper. your pencils, your pens, your erasers, everything. And my desk was the fucking biggest mess you ever saw in your life. I would get an assignment back and I would just crumble it up and just shove it in my desk along with all the other papers. And then for math, you know, our teacher would be like, okay, everybody take out your pencils and we're gonna, you know, and I'd be like, fuck, where's my pencil? I'm like, oh, it's jammed in my desk, like way in the back behind all these papers. So I'm like looking through there and like, you know, you hear all this paper rustling and all this shit falling out of my desk, trying to get a pencil out of there. Well, one day she walks up to me, she's like, why on earth is your desk so messy? I was like, I don't know. So you know what she does? She takes my desk and dumps it over. Papers go everywhere. Like all over the floor. Everywhere. Like most of the papers are ripped in half, crumbled up, you know, and then there's just like other shit falls out too. Pens, pencils, erasers, whatever. Boogers, whatever, you know, whatever, you know, a piece of gum, you know. And she picks up this one piece of paper and she's like, why do you still have this? I'm like, I don't know. She's like, it's February now, and this assignment was from October. She's like, no, you have the right of way. So she's like, this was 4 months ago. She's like, why didn't you throw this away? I'm like, I don't know. I thought I needed it. I don't know. She's like, throw that away. I'm like, throw it. She's like, all this stuff, just throw all this away. Like, look at Brian over there. Look at his desk. So, look at his desk. You got everything, you know, Brian's a fucking nerd, right? He's got all his, like, folders are stacked up, and then he's got his notebooks are on top of his folders, and his pens are in this, you know, they're all laying next to each other, and his pencils are all here, and his eraser's there, and his little, you know, pencil sharpener's there, and, you know, his little compass and his ruler, you know, everything's all lined up and laid out and perfect. Why can't you be like Brian? And I'm sitting like, fuck Brian, you know? Brian can't catch a ball when we play sports. You think I want to be like Brian? He's a dork. So, you know, when you're a child, though, you take everything personally. I mean, you can't look at an adult and be like, they're just an asshole, you know? Like, they have unfinished business to attend to. You know, they're mad at their ex-spouse who left them 6 months ago. They're mad that they grew up on a farm and didn't have what other kids had. Like, they've got issues, in other words. You don't think that when you're a kid. You think everything that comes out of an adult's mouth is gospel truth. That's what you think. And if an adult tells you that you're stupid and you're disorganized and you suck, basically, then your self-image is one, like, it's like you're looking in a mirror. Okay, I suck. I'm stupid. So why I didn't go home and tell my mother that my teachers were treating me like this is beyond me. Probably because I thought I deserved it. And probably because my parents weren't really that involved anyway. So even if I told them, they'd be like, yeah, she sounds mean. I don't know what to tell you. You know, like there was just like this kind of like, well, you got to go to school. I mean, if you don't like this teacher and we give you another teacher, that other teacher, you're not going to like that other teacher either, probably. You know, but I don't know what the answer is. You know, my kids are in public school. But I can tell you that my wife and I are very involved in our children's lives. Very involved. And our kid comes home every once in a while, my teacher was mean to me, you know? And then we don't go to the teacher and you were mean to my son. Like we don't do that because we know that our children exaggerate. But we always contact the teacher when our child has an issue. And we're like, okay, you know, my son said that, you know, he got yelled at, and and the teacher's like, yelled at? No, I didn't yell at him. I just said, you know, you need to stop talking to your friends or whatever. And I don't know, because I wasn't there. I don't know what she did or what she said or whatever. But the thing is that we take the teachers to task. We're very involved, and especially today, teachers know that if they say something that's, they can't say half the shit that teachers used to say to us when we were kids. And they know that, there would be a huge uproar and they could lose their job and whatever. I think things are much better in that regard. But from mine and my wife's perspective, I think that we're much more involved in our kids' lives, and we help them work through issues. And, the bottom line is that my kids aren't complete messes because we help our kids get organized, and we hold our children accountable to getting A's and B's whether they want to or not. So what that means is when you come home, you do your homework. And if you don't do your homework and your teacher lets me know that you have a missing assignment, then guess what? You're not having dessert. You might even miss dinner. You don't get to hang out with your friends this weekend. You don't get to play your video game. Instead, you're going to do this, and this. And if you ever lie to me again and say you did your homework when you didn't, there's just consequences. There's guardrails in my kids' lives, thanks to my wife and I. So for people who don't feel like raising their children and just want to send them to school and say, well, the teacher will raise my kids. Like, that's honestly like what my parents did. They were just like, oh, I don't have time to raise my kids. Like, let the teachers raise them. That was bad. So you can't have that attitude.